What's up, guys? I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I'm still at my mother's, so I don't have my microphone, so forgive the sound. But yesterday I talked about the 12 steps, right? Today I'm just going to run through the 12 traditions. There's 12 traditions, 12 steps, and the principles, 12 principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. So I'm going to do a quick short form and then kind of a long it's called a long form, but it's just like a paragraph of each one to kind of break it down, right? So tradition one: our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. Two: for our group purpose there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4. Each group should be autonomous except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5. Each group has but one primary purpose: to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprises, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9. AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. Number 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. That's why I tiptoe around the subject a little bit. I try to keep it, before I try to keep AA kind of out of my videos. Um, but I think it's important for people out there struggling to know what works. So I'm not going to keep as quiet about it, but I will say I am not a representative of Alcoholics Anonymous. I am a member. And members, the only requirement, like it says, is a desire to stop drinking. We're not left-leaning politically. We're not right-leaning. There's different genders, different races, different ethnic backgrounds, different religions, gay, straight, black, white, trans, normal, not normal. I didn't mean that. I'm kind of old school, so my verbiage isn't perfect. Whatever the word is, it's open to anybody and everybody. We keep politics and religion out of it, right? We do talk about God, but we don't talk about Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha, or we don't get into it. So I just want to state that. Okay, so no matter what I do in life, it does not, nor should it, reflect on AA as a whole. Okay, because there's millions of members, all from different backgrounds, races, sex, creed, whatever. So I just wanted to make sure that's thrown out there. Okay, 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. Okay, so here's the long form. Tradition 1. Each member of Alcoholics Anonymous is but a small part of a great whole. AA must continue to live, or most of us will surely die. Hence, our common welfare should come first, but individual welfare follows closely afterwards. So the group's got to stay open. So as long as we take care of it's a we program, not an I program. So that's very important. Tradition 2. For our group purpose, there's but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group conscience. The group conscience is when we have business meetings, all the home group members meet up once a month, and we go over everything. Issues, questions, things that we want changed. There's no individual leaders. There's nobody in charge of AA. It's a group thing. So somebody will throw something out there, and then we vote on it for that home group. Like for example, there's open meetings and closed meetings, right? Open meetings are for everybody. You don't even have to have a desire to stop drinking. You could just show up if you're on the streets and you want to come in and get a warm cup of coffee and get out of the rain for an hour or two, right? And there's closed meetings, which is strictly for the alcoholics. And typically that means no kids allowed. Um, but we voted a couple business meetings back in my home group to end closed meetings, right? Because people had kids and they didn't want to stop somebody from attending a meeting just because they have a kid with them. So what we did, we voted on it. We kept closed meetings, but we also voted to not allow children, if that makes sense. Because I'm not gonna. For one, if I walk into a meeting with my son, they're not gonna kick us out. I simply won't leave. And I would never, any meetings that I chair, I would never ask somebody to leave unless their kid was disruptive. That's the only reason that we would ask somebody to leave. And most other chair people don't tell people to leave with their kids. They just don't, because I mean that meeting could be the difference between life and death. You don't know, right? 3, our membership ought to include all who suffer from alcoholism. Hence, we may refuse none who wish to recover, which we don't ban anybody. Nobody. Doesn't matter what you believe or think, nothing. Nor ought AA membership ever depend upon money or conformity. Any 2 or 3 alcoholics gathered together for sobriety may call themselves an AA group, provided that, as a group, they have no other affiliation. So, you can't get 3 people from the Democratic Party to group up and start their own AA group, right? I mean, you could, but it can't be exclusive to that. It is kind of what it's saying. 4, with respect to its own affairs, each AA group should be responsible to no other authority than its own conscience, than the group. But when its plans concern the welfare of neighboring groups also, those groups ought to be consulted, and no groups, regional, committee, or individual should ever take any action that might greatly affect AA as a whole without conferring with the trustees of the General Service Board. On such issues, our common welfare is paramount. So there's what we call trusted servants, right? For each home group, you have a CSO, or a GSO. I don't know. It's like the guy that kind of is a spokesperson for that home group. Then you have other positions, housekeeping, maintenance, public information, treatment commitments. You know what I mean? So each group and each home group has responsibilities where, like, we'll go take meetings to jails, institutions, treatment centers, detox centers, stuff like that. Public information is getting the public more aware. We take the brochures, yada yada. There's books and literature where somebody has to make sure that the hall has AA books and pamphlets and all the literature we need. There's a secretary, a treasurer, stuff like that. A chair coordinator. So there's trusted positions, but they're all voted in by people. Like, I'm the public information alternate, which means if the public information guy can't make it to the CSO office for the big meeting, I have to go. I'm also on the camp out committee this year, so June 21st and 22nd we're having a camp out. We don't know where yet, but there's me and 3 other of us, and we're in charge of putting that together for this year's annual new arrivals camp out. So really stoked about that because I'm an outdoors guy, so this is perfect for me. And I also chair Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock from 8 to 9:15. So so trusted servants, but nobody's in charge. You're voted in by people, by the group. You have to have a certain amount of sobriety and sponsor, work in the program, etc. 5, each Alcoholics Anonymous group ought ought to be a spiritual entity having but one primary purpose, that of carrying its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. That's our only objective, is to share the message of Alcoholics Anonymous with the next dying and suffering alcoholic or addict, right? That's it. Simple. That's the whole reason we do this is for us to stay sober while we help the next man stay sober. That's it. That's its only motivation. 6. Problems of money, property, and authority may easily divert us from our primary spiritual aim. We think, therefore, that any considerable property of genuine use to AA should be separately incorporated and managed, thus dividing the material from the spiritual. An AA group, as such, should never go into business. Secondary aids to AA, such as clubs or hospitals which require much property or administration, ought to be incorporated and so set apart that if necessary they can be freely discarded by the groups. Hence, such facilities ought not to use the AA name. Their management should be the sole responsibility of those people who financially support them. For clubs, AA managers are usually preferred, but hospitals as well as other places of recuperation, like treatment centers, detox centers, ought to be well outside AA and medically supervised. While an AA group may cooperate with anyone, such cooperation ought never go so far as affiliation or endorsement, actual or implied. An AA group can bind itself to nobody. I hope that was kind of a long one, but I hope it makes sense. Okay, 7. The AA groups themselves ought to be fully self-supported by the voluntary contributions of their own members, meaning that we pass a basket around halfway through a meeting, right? You can throw $1 in there, you can throw a 20 in there, you can simply pass it on by, right? You're not required to pay anything. Donations are accepted. That money goes for coffee, keep the lights on, pay the rent on the building. It keeps that group open. So, and there's a secretary, a treasurer that is in charge of the money. It is all well documented. What the money is for. If there's repairs that need to be made, we all vote on it. Like, no one person gets to say, hey, I'm going to take this money and I'm going to go buy a case of coffee. Or I'm going to go take this money and get the floors done. They don't do that. We bring it up at a business meeting. We talk about those issues and we make a vote. We make motions and then we vote, right? No one person is in charge of shit. 100%. Okay. We think that every group should soon achieve this ideal, that any public solicitation of funds using the name of AA is highly dangerous, whether by groups, clubs, hospitals, or other outside agencies. That acceptance of large gifts from any source or of contributions carrying any obligation whatever is unwise. Then, too, we view with much concern those AA treasuries which continue beyond prudent reserves to accumulate funds for no stated AA purpose. Experience has often warned us that nothing can so surely destroy our spiritual heritage as futile disputes over property, money, and authority. Okay? Number 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional. We define professionalism as the occupation of counseling addicts for fees or hire. We don't do that. We don't claim to be doctors, counselors, although there are doctors and counselors that are members, but we are not an organization like that. Like, we're a spiritual program. It's so simple, a 12-step spiritual program. We're not a medical facility. We're not any of that stuff, okay? But we may employ alcoholics where they are going to perform those services for which we may otherwise have to engage non-alcoholics. Such special services may be well recompensed, but our usual AA 12-step work is never to be paid for. Meaning we don't do this shit for money. We don't do it for any other reasons but to help, right? That's what's crazy about AA, guys, is they don't ask nothing of you except for you to stay sober and pass on what was so freely given to us, right? So I have a sponsor. He's going through the book with me exactly how his sponsor and his sponsor did him. It's like a lineage, right? And the only requirement is we pass it on. That's the 12th step, right? Continue to carry the message. So he's freely given his time up and his wisdom to me to walk me through these steps. So once I complete them, I then have the power to do that with others. I could walk them through their steps, and you don't ever, if anybody ever asks you for any compensation or favors or money to do this, run. Okay? And if anybody is ever going through the step work with you in any other way other than the way the AA book tells you how to do, fucking run. Okay? Because that's just people's egos. And egos do get in the way of certain people. There's a lot of egos in AA. There's a lot of people that get 6 months under their belt, a couple years under their belt, all of a sudden they are AA gurus, right? They say the right shit, but they don't live it. And you'll see, and it's unfortunate, but there's people like that in every profession, any club, in any organization, in any group, right? You always have those people that will talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk, right? I'm still learning how to talk the talk and walk the walk. I don't ever, for once, claim to know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't. I'm taking this shit day by day. I learn new shit almost every day. I go through ups and downs. I go through periods where I am wrong and I have to own up to it. I'm new in recovery. I'm learning how to be a fucking adult. I'm learning how to I'm learning this shit as I go, and you guys are learning it with me. Number 9, each AA group needs the least possible organization. Rotating leadership is the best. The small group may elect its secretary, the large group its rotating committee, and the groups of a large metropolitan area their central or intergroup committee, which often employs a full-time secretary. The trustees of the General Service Board are, in fact, our AA General Service Committee. They are the custodians of our AA tradition and the receivers of voluntary AA contributions by which we maintain our AA General Service Office at New York. They are authorized by the groups to handle our overall public relations, and they guarantee the integrity of our principal newspaper, the AA Grapevine. There's a bunch more mumbo jumbo. I'm not doing all that. Number 10, no AA group or member should ever, in such a way as to implicate AA, express any opinion on outside controversial issues, particularly those of politics, alcohol reform, or sectarian religion. The Alcoholics Anonymous groups oppose no one. Concerning such matters, they can express no views whatsoever. That's why I'm very careful, right? That's why I don't, I very slightly have talked about my political beliefs in past videos, mainly I think when I was using, but I try to keep politics away from this channel. I don't, just because I don't want people to get a bad taste in their mouth. Like, if you're a Democrat, because I'm a Republican, I'm not afraid to say it, but I don't want people to go, oh, fuck, AA's for Republicans and blah, blah, blah. I just don't want to deal with any of that. And I don't want to turn anybody away, because when you walk through that door, you are only an alcoholic. That's all you are. It doesn't matter what you believe, your gender, your sex, none of that stuff matters. You're just another brother or sister in recovery. That's all you are. And we will treat you as such. Okay? 11. Our relations with the general public should be characterized by personal anonymity. We think AA ought to avoid sensational advertising. Our names and pictures as AA members ought not to be broadcast, filmed, or publicly printed. Our public relations should be guided by the principle of attraction rather than promotion. There is never need to praise ourselves. We feel it better to let our friends recommend us. Attraction rather than promotion. That's why, I do promote it a little bit, right? Because I think it's important to tell people what works or what worked for me. The attraction part, you can just simply see. from um, almost a year ago. It's been 222 days, but prior to that, you've seen where I was, almost losing my legs. Um, I wish I could say sucked up, but I wasn't sucked up. I was still kind of chubby. It's that fentanyl. But you could just look into my face and see with my skin, my eyes, um, my behavior that I was fucking lost. I was gone. I was really gone. And so hopefully over time you see the difference, right? The life changes, the whole different person that I'm still learning every day to be. So that's the attraction part, right? I don't ever praise myself. If anything, I beat myself up too much. Um, but yeah, number 12. And finally, we of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the principle of anonymity has an immense spiritual significance. It reminds us that we are to place principles before personalities, that we are actually to practice a genuine humility. This is this to the end that our great blessings may never spoil us, that we shall forever live in thankful contemplation of Him, meaning God, who presides over us all. So be humble, right? Be humble, be giving. Um, don't get cocky. Don't let your ego get the best of you. So those are the 12 traditions. I'm sorry if watching me is like watching paint dry. I guess other days I'm more animated than others, but I hope you enjoyed them. Tomorrow or sometime soon, or even today, I'll go through the 12 principles. It's a lot shorter. They're one-word things, right? But unity, service, and recovery. That's the key foundations of Alcoholics Anonymous. You can't be strong in two of them and weak in one of them. Look at it as like a stool, right? The stool has three legs. If one of those legs is weak, that stool will crumble. So, and that's the same with recovery. You can be big on unity, recovery, and lacking on service work. Uh, Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but you will crumble, you know, unless you figure it out beforehand. But anyways, I love you. I gotta go pick up Blake from school, and damn, I love you guys so much. You guys are all so amazing, man. And yeah, 222 days. If nobody today has told you they love you, you already know I love you, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day. It's super sunny here today, finally. So I'm going to go ride around in my mom's Jeep and pick up Bubba and just enjoy the fucking day. Love you guys.